In February 2008, it was announced that Newcastle Bar Mill would close. This came as a shock and a surprise to most employees at the mill. There were many distractions and people particularly concerned about their future. There was a lot of effort put into providing support and identifying job opportunities within One Steel for those who wanted to stay, and providing help for those who wanted to leave One Steel for either another job or to retire. Despite the disappointment about the closure, Newcastle Bar Mill has continued to improve its performance, breaking records, improving its safety and meeting all challenges that it's faced. Newcastle Bar Mill has been through numerous challenges and changes since it was commissioned in 1968. This DVD has been put together to pay tribute to all those who have worked in the mill over the last 40 years. I feel it's been an honour and a privilege to be part of such a great team. Thank you.
And I came to BHP in 1964, and I first started in the plate and bar mill, and I was in the plate and bar mill for about 7.5 years, and worked right through the department. I had all various jobs and worked right up to a mill hand, and then unfortunately the mill closed. I started at the whole of the BHP in 1960 as a third helper on the open hearth. As they gradually closed the open hearth down, I went to the blast furnace, the pig mill, and then I went out of there for a while, and then I came up at the rod mill in 1967 and was trained there to go over into the bar mill, which was No.2 merchant mill at that time. In July 1968 was the opening of that mill.
I was working at the old rod mill, No.1 rod mill, when the job came available over at the No.2 merchant mill. I was a deceimer at the old rod mill. When Ernie moved over there, he told me about the jobs that were going, and I had an interview with Bill Nolan, and I was given a job out there as an oil attendant. I was on a different shift with Ernie.
The mill hadn't even been completed when we were there. The contractors were still building it. There were no rolls put in. They were still working them, sorting them out. You're looking at about 9 months, 8 to 9 months before they put the first bar through.
I started off as a cadet, metallurgy cadet, working around all the different parts of the plant. I started off in the metallurgy department.
I came to Australia in 72. I had a few months to spare before uni was starting, so I got a job at BHP Steelworks. The only question they asked me was, do I mind shift work? And I told them, no, I don't mind shift work. And I went home and I told my wife that I'll be shifting something. She said, no, probably that's not what it really means.
I started it, when was it? I forget what year it was, but it's 41 years ago, you know, pushing 42. I only come to BHP and I thought I'll come over here for about 6 months' work. It's been a long 6 months.
Started in 1980. I applied for a job at the main gate. I started in the cinder plant. I was there for roughly 12 months. I got transferred out to the cake ovens. I was there for roughly 12 months, and then I come to the bar mill. I've been here ever since.
I originally started with BHP refractories, and from there I was there for 3.5 years, and I was moved on to the front end of the BHP, which is the coal roll mill. Then after I got transferred to the rec yard, which is formerly the billet processing, and then I moved on to the bar mill, which is transferred to the finishing of the bar mill.
I started in '89. Originally went to the 41 rad.
Sorry, the
41 rad they called it, export billets. From there to the steel foundry, we're doing cathode bars. 75 road, export bars. Then I got transferred to the wreck yard. I've been there ever since.
Started in 84, first job, reconditioning yard. Have been transferred to the rod mill when things got slack air over the years. Came back, went to 75 road, that's where I met Greg. Things picked up at the wreck yard again, went back, been there ever since.
I started back in 1968, July 68.
I started in 1978 and I've been in the bar mill all that time.
Wasn't even finished when we started here.
Really?
No.
I started as an apprentice in 1976 with BHP, worked my way through all the different departments and came here as a fourth year apprentice and have been here ever since, and that was 1980.
My name is Melka Duarte and I started here 27 years ago.
I started work for this company 1974, but in core covers department. My first job was in core covers department.
I came to this mill 1964, probably about a month after starting married, was it about 2 months?
68.
68, sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
How long did I come? You were the first one.
Yeah, I was here about 2 weeks before they started rolling. And when they started rolling, I was the fork driver. I used to be, I don't know how many jobs I had. I was the fork driver. I was a slingman. I was a shearsman. I was, you name it, I was there.
Well, I started in 1975. I finished my apprenticeship in end of 78, early 79. And I've worked mainly in mills. I've never been into the steel making side. Scalp mill, cold rolling mill, No.1 bar mill, and then this mill. And I've turned the lights out in every one of them. So this is the last one.
I started with the company back in 1980. What happened, I'd gotten my mechanical engineering degree up in Queensland. I actually got it at the Darling Downs Institute of Advanced Education at the time. I had a chat with Jack O'Neill at the time, who was the rolling mills manager. And so basically, I think he offered me a position, and considering the option of going to Western Australia as opposed to staying on the East Coast, I decided to start work at BHP as a rolling mills cadet. Before I actually worked here was, while I was still at university, was come through this place here, and when I went through the steel making and all the rest, I actually swore black and blue I'd never work here. Well, that's what I thought at the time, but anyway, it's funny how things turn out.
I started at the cold roller mill back in 89. Was there for about 8-9 months, and then I come over here in 90. Been here for the rest of the time.
This is my second time around. I was here originally back in 1980. Worked till 1984, left. Went a couple of years overseas, come back in 88, started over at the No.1 bar mill.
I started in 1976 down in the coal washery, coke ovens. I was there for 3.5 years and then transferred up to here.
I started in BHP in 1965. My father had a shop down Wombrel, and we left that and come back here, and I got a job at BHP then, at No.1 bar mill.
Well, I started off at the refractories, BHP refractories, which unfortunately is shut. Then I went to the strapping line, which got shut as well. And now I come here, and this place is getting bloody shut.
Yeah, I'm from Bali, long way from here. So, yeah, I started 20 years ago. Yeah, I started a cinder plant when I was coming in here. So the place, the same thing like Billy said, was the place shut down. Come up here, you know, the same thing happened in here. So
I started in 1963. Yeah, as an apprentice plumber.
I worked in the coke ovens for 11 years. Then I left and came back to my same job in the coke ovens 12 months later. And then I transferred up to the mill one, and I arrived in the mill.
I started actually in this mill in 1979, so I've been here 29 years.
I started in BHP in probably about 1970.
I was like Chook Lotto. I applied for the job. Friday I applied for it. Monday I've been given the position, turned up. It was WKS, it was Works Research. So I was sent on this bus around the place. Half the blokes stayed on the bus. I got off. I went to the Works Research. They didn't even know I was turning up. And thought, this is a great place to work. So it mustn't be too hard.
I started at BHP in 1970 and I came here in 1989, 10th of October.
I started at BHP originally in 81. I was retrenched at the end of 82. I put back on again in 84. The front end closed in 89. I come over here and facing the same scenario.
I started 3 years ago and I come from the aluminium smelter up at Kurri.
I started here in 1980 and I just come from the main gate, applied for a job and I've been here ever since.
So I've been here since 1979 and I come from Tech, first and only job I've ever had.
21 years I've been here. Started at Rod Mill for 12 months there and then moved down here and been here ever since.
I started in 64 at the old plate and bar mill. Ended up at the scalp mill when the plate and bar mill shut. Scalp mill shut, ended up here.
Started BHP 66, steel making. Left when steel making shut in 99. Got back in here as a casual 5 months later at the bar mill.
I just come in as a contractor. Just always been a contractor and come in here and just started from there. I've got a permanent job since just after the closure of the front end actually.
Worked here for 30 years. I started work originally in the mill and for about 12 months on day work. And then I transferred out here to the billet yard.
So I started BHP actually in 1980. I started at No. 1 merchant mill. I was there for probably just on 2.5 years before the first redundancies come out in 83. I just made the cut.
I came over from Ingham's Chicken Factory at Cardiff, and actually my father was the one that actually asked me to come over and try it out, and went through the normal process of the IQ test and then actually got here to the No. 2 bar mill, which I've stayed since then.
I started at the old BHP back in 1971 in February. Basically straight from high school, finished in November of the previous year, 3 months off, and then started on a metallurgy trainee. And I think the first couple of days I was at the old lab, the Met Department, the Opera House if you like, and then transferred over to Works Research near what was then near the 5A coke ovens battery.
I started over at the blast furnace in 1978, I think it was, and they said they were going to close, so I left. They didn't close the place down in 82. I went outside to find a job and I come back in 95. I walked over at the No. 1 merchant mill over the front there and come over here in 96.
First started in 79 at the dumping station, the power department. I moved on to steel making, mould yard up to 200-tonne ladles, went across to the caster, become leading hand there, and left when the front end closed, come back here as a contractor.
I started out as an apprentice, fitter and turner, 1976, and came out of my time at Central Roll Shop and moved over to the bar mill in 1980.
I started 1989, apprentice fitter. Was there until front end shut, ended up as a fitter at steel making. Was there until front end shut, come over across here and been here ever since.
I started in 1988 at the Cinna plant and came over here when the front end shut.
Started in 1980, started at the paint shop at the front end, had a bit of a cutback in 82 and went to the mould yard, steel making. Then in 96 went to the rotary kiln, which is closed down in 99, and cooked fluxes over there, leading hand over there, and then come to the bar mill up till now.
I've worked here for close to 30 years. I came here in 1980 at the Newcastle Bar Mill, which was then known as the No.2 Merchant Mill.
I started working for the company and I actually started in this mill in February 1969, and I started as a junior clerk at the finishing end, and I did that for 15 months, and at the time I was doing a course at Tech College and mechanical engineering, and I managed to get a traineeship up on the mill floor.
The day I came in, they took us out to some old timber building out the front end there and decked us out with our overalls and our boots and everything, and they put us on the bus and they dropped us off at all the different departments, and it was sort of new to me that we ended up, I think it was the blast furnace. And I could see all the fire and the flames, and I didn't know what I'd got myself into, and but I ended up at No.1 Merchant Mill.
Well, I think one of the biggest experience did experience was the changes.
Physically, I guess, if you look at the structure, I was still pick billets up with a magnet crane and charge them into the mill and so forth. The actual physics of the mill haven't changed that much. A lot of the work has been sort of behind the scenes in the systems and automation and that sort of stuff.
Change of culture from BHP to One Steel, it didn't go with the name. It went more from a losing front end and arse end becoming a front end. Initially, a lot of people thought they were betrayed, right? They were cast off. Personally, to me, it was just a change of names.
There was a massive adjustment made by both, by the company and by the men, but in whole, it was a darn good relationship that we had. We had a lot of fun, as Bob just quoted there. We had a lot of fun on shift, on the back shifts. It was nothing for us to grab hold of the foreman's motorbike and get it up on the floor and ride it up and down the damn floor. That mill would roll in the early days on its own. And we would have anything up to, in one pulpit, 4 blokes playing cards, up in the main pulpit, another 4 blokes playing cards, and the bars are going through like a rocket and breaking records. It run itself. These blokes knew their job. They knew how to set it up and they knew how to keep it going.
I used to enjoy it, but as the years come past and this mob's taken over, it's just, I think they've just run the place to the ground. I honestly don't believe that they've been for the best interest of the mill.
It's been hard, it's been stressful at times, but it has been rewarding too.
The place is, we're not BHP.
No, but I think when the front end closed and they all come over here, the mood of the place changed. Definitely. And
yeah, no one to back you up, sort of thing.
No, I just think it's all gone to shit since then. A lot of women worked here then too, wasn't there? Back in them days, hell of a lot of women. There's 2 left here now. 2 women left in the whole place.
When I was here then, besides the older women that worked here, we used to have a lot of younger women. And over the years, well, the young ones never lasted long, especially doing that work down there.
Labour, so I think we were the first department in the BHP since the war to put on female labour. And they were good people, they wanted to work.
So I remember putting makeup and everything the first day, lipstick and everything, and people been laughing at me, and I thought, that's funny, people laughing at me. But anyway, I didn't worry much about it. And when I came here to have a look, my face was so black because, I was wiping my face, and of course, never wore makeup anymore.
Yeah, I'll go hard worker like Milka, and they were very passionate and very caring.
And some part in the system somewhere we started to employ university students. And they got to the stage, I think a later time, that the employment office ring them out and say, would you like some more university people this year? So give me 60? Yes. I would start over 200 to 250 people every year. That was the turnover in No.2 Merchant Mill.
I guess the biggest change that I've seen is probably the people. When I started the finishing end, we had probably 55, 60 odd people on a shift. Now it's down around, it's less than half that.
Seen lots and lots of things happening right with the company in relation to computers. It certainly developed a lot from there. As they got into the computer system, we then got to the stage of converting the orders that came through by the mail system and actually putting that up into the computer.
Multi-skilling's come a long way, and years ago, well, even in the bar mill, if you were a tradesman, you stayed as a tradesman. If you're an operator, you're an operator. But at the building processing group, which is formerly the Rec Yard No.2, you were expected to do dual roles.
Well, actually, you're a bit relieved because the outside world wasn't too pretty. It wasn't. Job security wasn't very good. Because a thing called contracting, it was pretty hard to get a permanent job.
The biggest change recently would be the introduction of lean manufacturing. Since lean's come in, for instance, we've halved our cobble rate again, and lean is probably, whether you like it or not, some people don't like it because it puts them out of their comfort zone. But lean really is everybody deep down inside knows that's how you should run a manufacturing business.
Yeah, I vaguely recall the 66, it was, my pay doubled because the decimal currency.
The big change here was that safety became very, very paramount because we were hurting a lot of people. A lot of things were getting hidden. All of a sudden, everything had to be out in the open. Not long after that, the customer became a second core value.
In a production, especially a bar mill, the concept during the 70s was basically produce, get it out the gate, and the customer can deal with whatever turned up. And during the 80s, there was a focus more on what the customer wanted and needed, so it was a market focus rather than a production focus.
And it has changed over the years because we've both seen the changes.
When I first come here, this mill was very dirty, very untidy, things everywhere, not much safety in place. But a few bosses over the time have changed all that, and with the people, it's now a pretty safe place to work.
I reckon, what would you say? Safety is just, you can see the change where heaps changed. Like instead of, we had dirt floors. You could walk inside the shed with long pants, safety boots and a t-shirt. Try to do that now without safety glasses.
There was a very high presence on safety back then. We just had different methods of implementing on safety, but there were probably more risks taken then, even though you were risk aware. Now some of those things you wouldn't even contemplate even thinking about doing.
Thinking things you do notice that do cause change is the change of the managers. So safety is a very big push at the moment, and has been for quite a few years, and that's just continues on, getting more and more.
That's one of the differences, say, pre-closure to current closure, and the safety aspects and the highlighting of safety in recent times. That it's a significant difference or change that I've seen or I've experienced.
The safety has been also a big issue, which I've taken awards out for safety, and along the way, and it makes you more a professional sort of a worker.
We're very much safety orientated now, and you can't get out of that because of the number of safety observations that you have to perform. I mean, I've got 8 a month. There are people out there, superintendents, 1 a day.
Well, back when we first started, safety wasn't what it is now. It was just, it was very lackadaisy sort of thing, like it's, no one wanted to see anyone get hurt, but like it just left you up to your own.
And you beeline straight for wherever you work, and then I was one side of the plant to the other and dodging locomotives and trucks and stuff, and compared to today's world, there's a vast improvement.
The biggest change that I saw in the BHP in the time that I was there, and I was there 31 years, was safety. Like the years that we're talking about, that Ernie's talking about, safety didn't come into it.
You was aware of it.
You were aware of it, but it was up to you whether you did it or not. At the end there, safety was everything.
So the emphasis on safety is been even more so than it was under BHP, particularly in the last 5 years.
The drive for safety and particularly excluding people from mobile equipment. Most of the changes have had very good reasoning behind them, although a lot of the people in the workforce see it as a way to make your job harder or make it slower or make you walk 10 miles out of the way. But in reality, it's there to keep you safe, and that perception now has changed significantly.
The fun went out of it.
Yeah, it seems to.
Yeah. The whole fun went out of the place. All this safety stuff come in. Now you walk around and you say, who's looking at me?
It's like they say, you go home the same way you got there, and that's the main thing.
And I actually was recorded of saying on national television that what were my first impressions of steelworks, and my answer was at that time, if there was hell on earth, that had to be it.
Channel 3 guy come into the mill to take a photo of the actual rolling process. Anyway, you wouldn't want to know, he's standing up on top of a bit of the rise that went up over the bearing shop, going down towards the cooling bed with his camera. And the next thing, cobble come out. And she shot up in the air like they do and came down. It was heading straight for him. Well, I always remember he stuck his head underneath the tripod and he's off down towards the cooling bed with this bloody cobble chasing him. Luckily it never ever caught him, but just that was a funny thing that day.
There seemed to be a lot of characters around back then, and there don't seem to be so many characters now. I remember one of our change house attendants, he used to know everything, and he'd be around all over the place, and he used to be a fountain of information, basically.
We had a crane driver sitting up in a cabin, and somebody was telling me that crane was actually remotely controlled, but it wasn't successful. So I chased down and found this remote box, and I was very familiar from the front end with the remote control cranes. The biggest opposition I ever got was actually removing that crane driver from his cabin and actually getting him on the floor to do a normal duties. But that is one of my first and biggest successes in a mill.
I worked with a lot of very good people, over the many years. Had the odd snake slither through the place.
And just the humour of the characters that you work with, and the fun and laughs we have as working as a group. And that's made it so fun. It's so fun to be with.
Most of the people here are a really nice bunch of people to work with. I found them overall pretty good.
No, they've been pretty good people. And
the wind used to come through that warehouse. And this particular night I walked out, there was about 4 or 5 blokes sitting around a fire. And I looked, and I grabbed the bloke by the arm and I pulled him away and I kicked the drum. He's sitting on the drum, 20-litre drum. It was that round. And I put that half full of distillate or petrol. It was just about to blow, and it would have got the lot of them, So that's awareness. People didn't see that.
It was a film bloke. He used to work in No.2 warehouse bundling, And about 8 o'clock he disappeared. Where is this bloke? He had to look everywhere. I didn't go and see him because I said I got to find him. Anyway, about around 9 o'clock, 9:30, he sent for me to go down to the office, and there this bloke. I said, thank you, where you been? So anyway, we found out that where he's working, he just, 8 o'clock, 8:30, he just walked out. And he went there, he went to Mayfield down the pub. How he got past the watchman, I don't know. And when he come back, the watchman picked him up. And he said, where you going? I got back to work. And he had about 4 or 5 bottles of vodka and whiskey, whatever. He went.
The Finnish hands got a central recorder's pulpit It's double glazed glass, and the centre recorder had to look out to see where the steel was, on that roller line or on the surge table. He needed to look out and see it. So you couldn't clean outside the window because there was no scaffolding. There was just, you could clean inside, but outside was dust over the years. So George Duff went to the morning meeting and he said to the superintendent, we need a scaffolding outside the centre recorder's pulpit. And the Bill said, why? He said, so the recorders can see out. He said, this is a work area, not a fucking tourist attraction. Paint the vases black. Oh. I said, did he say that, George? He said, yes. I said, next week I'm going. So I went to the next Wednesday meeting. So I said, any other business? He said, yeah, we got a request to have a particular scaffolding and put round the centre recorder's pulpit. What for? I said, so we can paint the windows black. He had to laugh. No, there's so much in that 20 odd years that if you wrote everything down, people say that's not true. Yeah. That couldn't happen.
Well, there's a lot of memories here, and to me, you know, the mill really is the people in the mill. It's, you know, the walls or the buildings and the equipment, you know, they don't have any life as such, but it's really the people you've met. And I've got to admit, I've sort of felt that I've been spoilt working at this mill because, you know, people have been, you know, get some good relationships here, and I think on the whole, virtually all the people here have been very friendly and easy to get along with.
People involved in the company are terrific. Don't know them all, of course, it's a big thing, but...
You know, many years ago when I worked here in the early 80s, the first time, and we used to roll a real lot of... Those racks were full all the time. Yeah. And, you know, you'd get your bed out and find out, you know, a nice hot warm rack.
Because it used to be two or three guys per job. You know,
job, so you know some could cover you.
Like crib relief, cup of tea. Like instead of having two, one can do the job for half an hour, and then he has a break.
Whatever it was,
yeah.
You'd find a nice place to couple of hours, or an hour or so, whatever it might be.
Oh, characters! Oh, you get a lot of funny characters. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we did have three Michaels with three Micks. One was called Ethnic Mick, Irish Mick, and Nazi Mick.
Billy Graham, he's another one. The Chief. It's all over Newey, mate. Yeah. And yeah, Kenny Sutherland, you know. But yeah, same things happened to me. I've had guys that come up. Speedy was one guy, he asked me. Because Ken McCrimmon he come out and he said, I've got this letter here for Warren Butler. He said, do you guys know him? And even Ken didn't know me as Warren Butler. And I said, yeah, I do. And Speedy said, do you? What shift's he on? I said, hours. And I said, yeah. I said, well, you've been drinking with Speedy? He said, no, I don't recall that name. I said, yeah, it's me. He said, oh, for Christ's sake. He said, all these years, he said, yeah, he was the one that gave me the nickname. And he'd forgotten my real name, you know, so...
I reckon it's a terrific place to work. I always said that. I said, I enjoyed my time here. I really did. Yeah, I wouldn't think of it any other way.
My foreman, when I came back here 20 years ago, in Albert Asetic, another absolute gentleman.
I met a hell of a lot of good people in that mill, a lot. And there were some bastards in there too, don't worry about that.
And the best part about it, I met over the years, over the 15 years, a lot of good people. But the people are the thing that the best part about the mill.
I had an accident here a while back concerning with the rail wagons, and it affected the family and affected all my friends here at the bar mill. I really want to thank them all for all their our appreciation for them to actually care about me while I was at the hospital and that. 5 weeks in hospital after the accident, and what kept me going was the people here at the bar mill and family, and also my other sporting friends outside. I'd just like to thank them all for everything they've done.
We've always been accused of too much laughter on our shift.
we get the work done, we have fun while we do it.
When they first changed the controls over to PLC, they were fun days when they...
We got the record of 26 cobbles in the one shift.
Oh, a lot of the funny stories, strangely enough, revolve around near misses. You know, people nearly getting hit by cobbles, and we used to laugh about it.
I used to clean up the crane runways and get the bags of scale and fill them up, and then get an apprentice or unwitting person underneath and get them to stand in that right position, and that was it. A whole bag of scale on.
So Earl Ralph, his name was. He was here for a long time. He was one of the old fellas when I was a young fella. Yeah, and poor old Ralphie would go and check his temperatures in the motor room and open the door, and a bucket of water would swing down and drown him. Little things like that. The old horseplay from the old days that you don't see. Well, I don't see it at all these days.
So we had a guy here, Danny Richardson, and he always, when he went home, he always, because he had greasy clothes, he always soaked his clothes in petrol. So he'd soak his clothes in petrol, and this day in the laundry, you took them out and put them in the washing machine. All right, so when his wife came to wash his clothes, needed to say all the petrol fumes, when she turned the washing machine on, it blew the washing machine up and nearly blew her out of the laundry.
I've seen many of funny things, you know, with this place where it used to be just practical jokes, where there was a guy who used to walk up the crane, he'd go up the steps. His name was Bones, Ross Latimer, his name was. He'd walk up number 1 crane, give us a mouthful of cheek on the way up, leave his helmet down there. We used to have a crane that ran along these tracks, so we got a bit of the grease and oil and a little bit of scale and rubbed it on his sweatband of his helmet and sitting down the bottom of the steps. So, you know, in the shower, he's walked in the shower, still mouthing off, takes his helmet off, he's got one of these sweatbands of just scale and grease, goes in the shower, doesn't realise until he starts washing. Oil and grease and scale all over his hands, and you know, like we used to do some things that, you know, like if you'd done it these days, you'd deserve the sack. You would.
One still has introduced a lot of discipline, and it's harsh discipline, right? It has, and that's the guidelines it sets, this harsh discipline. Now, as you know, once you set discipline in place, all of a sudden you're starting to lose a lot of the humour.
Our esteemed manager, Peter White, he really frowns on that sort of thing, so we normally wait till he disappears down the stairs. As soon as his back's turned.
The cricket ball
yeah, the bat and ball come out. And,
At almost any other job after that, it's boring, because you don't have that rush of excitement. You don't have a sense of accomplishment.
Probably very sad for a lot of people. Probably very sad.
Yeah, actually, I was surprised at the closure of this mill and keeping the Waratah mill open. That was a big surprise, and not only for the blokes that worked here. There's a lot of blokes that I know that work over Waratah. It was a big shock. It was a big surprise for them, because they definitely thought they were gone. No, it's come at a good time for me, I think.
Nobody's going to enjoy the change. A lot of people will probably finish up a lot better off, but at the moment they don't know that.
I think it's going to be solemn, the same as it was at the front end, seeing a lot of your old mates walk out the gate and not coming in here again to see them.
I foreseen it coming. I don't know. Because of overhead costs, because we didn't have an electric arc furnace. A lot of factors built into it, but I was not surprised when the announcement came. For me personally, it's worked out wonderful.
Yeah, it was a shock, but it was one that you did have plenty of warning about. That it was always an iffy sort of situation, if it was going to maintain or if it was going to close. So you're in dire straits whether it was and whether it wasn't. And sort of when you had that announcement, it was just a sort of a relief and saying, well, it's going to close. That's the final issue, and at least we know, and just accept it. Yeah.
Well, it is closing down, but we're still going. We're going back down to one shift. And lucky Greg and I are the fortunate ones to be one of the 5 to stay. Well, to stay again.
Well, for me, I've survived twice. closure twice I've survived, so.
A lot of people were shocked, I think.
Well,
because we couldn't understand why.
It's always been known as the bar mill. It's also been known as a rumour mill. So the rumour mill was that it was something was in the wind, and I think a lot of people. I think I wasn't that surprised, but I still am shocked that they closed this one.
We thought they would have closed one of the others.
Yeah.
Still at a bit of a loss why they've come to the decision. I'd say that I've heard lots of stories about these other mills, talking to operators at them, and don't really understand what they have over us. So a bit disappointed with their decision.
I was not planning to finish this year, but it's come up, that's it.
Yeah, it's a packaging run, that's for sure.
Well, probably the same as everyone else will probably say shock, and couldn't believe it because I couldn't believe this place would shut before the other place, before Waratah. I don't think you'll see a person in this mill that can say why this mill's closing and Waratah's staying open.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to describe my emotions. I was just like saying, well, to say I wasn't shocked would sort of be an understatement, because really we thought it was a choice between us and the Waratah mill. And I don't know who was more shocked, us or the Waratah mill, because some of the people I've talked to at Waratah were even more shocked that they actually got to stay.
But no, the company's been fantastic. It's a shame that this mill's going to close. I can't understand it closing, and I still think the only logic behind that there is a big vision of something down the track to go in place of this mill.
Disappointed, more than anything. I thought with all the rumours flying around, I thought, oh yeah, probably some of the rumours were right, but at the end of the day, I think everyone was disappointed.
Yeah, the arse fell out of my world, yeah. Because there was rumours, I mean, yeah, but who in their right mind had shut here, you know, that's got everything going for it and keep constellating.
But when they made the decision, there was just a lot of people just, at the meeting, there wasn't much said at all, people were just dumbfounded. But that's my first way I've seen it. There wasn't very many people spoke up or said anything, and that's more afterwards they kind of, you know, there's people start getting a bit angry about it and everything like that, but...
We couldn't do much, we were just more numb. Well, I kind of thought, oh well, it was going to go.
Yeah, now I'm the mill greaser, which is one of the best jobs I've ever had.
Yeah.
And now they're taking the bugger off me.
Yeah.
It's a great place to work, I don't mind it.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed when we heard the news the place shut down, you know, so because I thought it was going to stay last another 5 years, you know. That's make me turn 50, you know. So I want to retire by 50, back home, you know, so.
Julian, like my mate, we were just devastated, really, you know.
I sort of did, and I've told this to the guys over there, some of your managers and some of your bigger fish, that what they look at in areas of a company such as this is to cut down the biggest tree and pull the others out by hand.
I always thought it would be here because of the numbers of people, because the company was always saying, you know, people per tonnes and stuff like that, and the costs, it's the costs, and us having the most costs.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, you know, something different, you know, because it's all, as I said, it's all I've known.
The other thing that I sort of find a little bit funny is that when the place did close in September '99, I said then I would give the bar mill 10 years. And I'm just about hit the nail on the head.
Oh, the whole of the bar mill people were absolutely shocked.
Well, they give them the day off, didn't they?
Yeah, they just sent the boys home. Couldn't speak.
I went home and I was pretty angry for probably several months.
It is sort of like giving up smoking.
You know, there's good friendship, even with everyone you argue the point with. You know, there's still a friendship there.
I think it's an utter bloody disgrace. Now, that whole plant should never have shut down. If the company had done the right thing in the first place, that place would never have shut. We asked them repeatedly to sell it. Sell it to a foreign country. We didn't give a damn who he worked for as long as it kept going, because it was the main source of employment for Newcastle. Now you've got to look at it and be realistic about it. They shut that bar mill. There's going to be quite a few people out of work, and there's no work out for them to grab hold of.
Work anyway.
My father said it reared you boys and it reared a lot of families, you know what I mean? And I feel the same now. Okay, it mightn't be the greatest place in the world, but it's giving you an income and it's helping you pay your way and earn your way in life, you know?
The thing that annoys me about it is our kids and the people growing up, that's 200 less jobs that they can apply for in Newcastle.
I've been through this quite a few times with closures of different mills. I've been offered redundancies, but I've always had a job to go to, so I always have the opinion, if you've got a job, don't throw it in, keep hold of it, because the redundancy is not going to last forever. And that's what I've done the last with the front end closure, the BHP closure, and with the number 1 bar mill closure.
I still feel sad because there's a lot of memories and a lot of people. As I explained to the wife one time, she sort of looked at me strange. The people at work you eat, sleep, shower with, and you spend more time with them than you do your family. They leave this place, they drop off the... It's just like getting your arm cut off, you don't see them again. If you might see them 10 years, oh, good day, how you going? But you spend every day, 7-day roster we were on, every day you'd be with the same people, and it's just not going to happen now.
Oh, I love to be on the last day, just to see all the people around and the fellow employees that I did work with and spent so much of my time with, and some of the managers in charge, and all the general people that you have spent a part of your life with.
Yeah, it's going to be a sad day, but you know, we can't do much about it. We just got to walk out when the time comes, and that's it.
And there has been a lot of friendship and good times here, you know. And it's hard when you see, you know, we know it's a business decision with the place, and we can't compete with imports and different stuff like that. But it was still a hell of a shock, I'll tell you, when it happened, you know.
I'd say we all get invited back to have a look around, watch the last bar go through. That might be pretty sad. Yeah.
Hopefully we can have some form of celebration on that day to really finalise it, rather than walk out of here and have it hanging over your head that maybe you should have done this or maybe you should have done that.
Very, very, very sad for me. I've just had me, if you can have a look at this is that's my 2-year-old daughter. So only 2 years ago we've had our first kid. I'm 44 years old. You know, she took a long time to come. Finally get somewhere with a position such as mine currently. Unfortunately, there's no positions out there to cater for my needs. I can't see myself painting track wells at 2 o'clock in the morning over there at Comsteel. Don't like shift work.
I miss the friends. We are like a family now. Talk, you know, laugh and do things. But at the end, you know, everybody got a different way.
See, I feel sorry for these other boys. Like these fellas in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Going out there looking for a job, it's going to be hard for them. But with me, I know I don't have to, no worries about that. Yeah.
If you notice when you come into a place, everyone sits in there where they sit. They've been here 30 years, 40 years, they don't move from that spot. So when we go over there, there's going to be blokes in the same spot, so you don't want to step on people's toes straight off, But they're only a small team over there, so it won't take long to get used to everyone and talk to everyone. And
there's a lot of people here that have been here a long time too, so 40 years, some of them. And, I've been here 30 years, but it seems to fly when you're working. You don't sort of realise how long you've been here.
Yeah, we hit rock bottom at one stage, but we've definitely been climbing steadily since. I think now at the moment we're going as best as the mill's ever gone.
It's disappointing from my aspect because, Bruce and myself put a lot of work into the mill up there, and we're seeing some of the things we're doing being taken up by other mills now and following our lead. And they're the ones that are staying, and I think there's still a lot of improvement left in this place yet.
I don't think it's a world record now, but we are definitely breaking all our own records here for the mill. And we are all achieving it winding down to closure, so it really it doesn't pay to be very, very good.
And 10 years down the track we're closing here, but I thought that that'd be in a couple of years. I thought it'd be a lot quicker. But to the bar mill's credit, I know for fact that we floated one steel for the first couple of years in the profit margin.
Oh, I think it's too cheap overseas. Maybe that was what it is, I don't know.
Bloody shareholders. Well, obviously this mill can roll just about virtually anything. Other mills promised that yes, we can roll this certain product, and now they can't.
And to start a new mill off and put the pressure on them guys over there with the capacity that's going to be thrown at them is laughable. You get yourself to a pinnacle in pretty much steel making and you just get chopped. Like I say, you know, they've virtually chopped down the biggest tree, because I've no doubt we are the best in Australia.
It's interesting to note that since the announcement of the closure, the way we actually roll has changed, in that we're rolling long times of a given section, and our conversion costs have dropped accordingly, down to where they would have liked and been competitive with the other mills. So it's an interesting thing that the market that drove us, that allowed us to survive, is actually the thing that caused us to go out of business, because the mill was constructed at a time when rolling was basically roll a lot, store it away and sell out of a warehouse, rather than roll to a market.
We just got the place singing.
Yeah.
Really ramped up and rolling well. And yeah, now we're going to shut it.
No, it's bad. It's just that was their reason for closing. It was their cost. Produce the tonnes at the end, and they think they can do it cheaper elsewhere.
I thought, from a business point of view, you cannot compete with China in steel in relation to price. No one in the world will be able to do that.
As far as I'm concerned, it is one of the worst moves that Australia is making, you know, getting out of the manufacturing industry. We are not value adding.
Like at Christmas time, they spent millions in this mill here, doing maintenance work and all the rest of it. In February they announced the closure.
And what I really feel is there's going to be a lot of One Steel's customers out there who'll have to source their steel from elsewhere. Engineering steels they're not doing, so the Australian car industry is going to have to import the steel, because we rolled a lot of steel for the Australian automotive industry. Whether it's the future of the Australian steel industry, I don't know, maybe it's a wind down.
I believe a lot of people will say over time that BHP, as good as the company was, never ever learnt by its mistakes, and consistently does the same thing time and time again in relation to people. When they move on or when they make change, they do it in mass. They just get rid of their expertise without thinking, and then all of a sudden they said, well, we needed 100 and we've got 100. But we'll say you got 100 from a place that's never been here before. Who's going to teach them? Oh, don't they know? Yeah. I still believe they've made the wrong decision.
Change is good if it's for a reason. Change for the sake of change isn't any good. You've got to let these guys know out there that it is good and show them why it is good, or else you don't get anywhere with it.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong decision, but I'm not a bean counter.
Obviously higher powers than us know something that we don't.
It doesn't make sense, because the things that they're doing now is costing them more money.
It's a big surprise, because I think we're the only mill in Australia that can roll such a wide selection of grades and sections. And once we stop rolling, they'll never get rolled in Australia again. So,
a lot of people have said and still are saying, was it the right decision? No, it wasn't. They're convinced it's the wrong decision. Will it work? Probably it will work if they spend the time, money and the resources and make these resources available.
I'm not putting that mill down or anything, because they've rolled what they've rolled for years and years and years, and they've done it really well. But they have to take over some of the sections we roll here, and they have to start from scratch with them. They've already tried to roll one section and failed miserably, and it's not an easy section to roll, we all know that. But starting from scratch, it's going to take a long time to get on top of it. And apparently the other mills as well that have taken some of our product, they're having a hell of a lot of trouble with that too.
It was a very complicated. It's probably the decision to come up is a very complex one. So it affects all the different areas. It affects every major mill. But also we had wire involved in this exercise. Also there was a wire stream. So we had all these different streams that were all working together, and then coordination area that head office was combining everything together. Yes, it did become that one mill was closed, but we actually model the closure of every mill. So Laverton, Sydney, Waratah and the Newcastle mill were all looked at. And then it was a matter of, well, okay, which one then delivers the biggest value to One Steel, given the market that they want to remain in. Some of the influences that, if you like, spell the decision for closing the bar mill included things like our decision that we were going to get out of automotive. Working up, it was marginal for a while, but then as we go into the different interactions, like with the different options for steel making, it became very clear then that the bar mill, this bar mill, closing it would deliver the best value by far. If you put a business hat on and a One Steel hat on, this was the best decision to be made, even though from my perspective, having worked here, it was a hard one to swallow at the time.
I guess rest in peace, Newcastle bar mill.
Yeah. Well, what we're anticipating is that we'll come back in 3 years and Harvey will be still here, waiting for us all to come back.
I'm not falling.
Did you forget about me? I'm the bloke that didn't get the job.
We all shined up ready to go.